Today we're going to create a complex sentence using subordinating conjunctions. So those are the two main things that you need to keep in mind. We're creating a complex sentence. Okay, what does it take to make up a complex sentence? That's right. You have to have at least one independent clause and at least one or more dependent clause, or some choose to call them subordinate clauses. Now, to keep it very simple, we're just going to use introductory subordinating conjunctions, or an introductory subordinating conjunction clause, which means you're going to put your subordinating conjunction at the beginning of the sentence. So you make a choice. Okay, so you have to know at least a few subordinating conjunctions to get started. So let's just kind of review those real quick. We have after. That's a very common one. Now let's just take the word after. After is also a common preposition. And there's a big difference in a prepositional phrase and a subordinating clause. Okay, for instance, after the storm. Okay, is that a phrase or is that a clause? Well, it's obviously yes, it's a phrase. So the after is acting as a preposition because it only has just a subject or just a noun. Now let's take and go a little step further, and let's try this. After the storm was and let me add a verb to it. After the storm was over. Now, what has changed? Okay, that's right. You've got a subject of the clause, and you've got, in this case, a linking verb. So you've got your, no longer is it a preposition. The after now has turned into a subordinating conjunction because this subordinating conjunction has turned into a clause. And the difference between a clause and a phrase is that a clause has a subject and a verb in it, and a phrase only has a subject or a verb, or a noun and a verb. Anytime it's introductory subordinate clauses, you should always put a comma. After the storm was over, comma. And then you add the independent clause. And this is the clause that can stand by itself. After the storm was over, I slept. Now, we can say with assurance that you have, what we've been looking for is you have one independent clause, I slept. An independent clause can stand totally alone. Can I slept? Yes. I mean, it's a short sentence, but it can stand right by itself. So, I slept, that's your independent clause. Okay? Now let's go on to the other clause. Okay, your one, and it has to have at least one dependent clause to make it a complex sentence. All right, after the storm was over. Okay, that cannot stand alone. After the storm was over, even though it's got a subject and a verb in it, it cannot stand alone. Now, if you actually took out the after and you just said the storm was over, now that could stand by itself. But the act of putting after or any subordinating conjunction in that spot makes it dependent on something else to make sense. So that's how that works. So we do have our dependent or subordinate clause. And we know it's a clause because one, it has a subject and it has a verb. And it's a dependent clause because it cannot stand by itself.